Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today I thought I would go through a shoulder workout that I'm currently doing at the moment. I know I've got my sort of different shorts and videos that come up which show what I'm doing, but I thought I'd just do maybe like a minute on each exercise and talk through some of the things that I'm doing, looking at some of the cues to potentially help someone else on the other side of this camera with their, I guess, journey with training or, you know, just giving a basis of a shoulder workout to sort of work towards or structure around. So stay tuned and let's get into the video. All right, so at the start of my shoulder workouts, I always do some form of rotator cuff exercise. So I'm just using a dumbbell here and doing rotations with both arms. It will loosen up your shoulders and prevent injury over time. So I always highly recommend doing that for your sort of shoulder workouts. And then I always do my standard sort of static stretches before each workout. So in the next clip here, so I'll do a forearm stretch with both arms. And specifically for shoulders, I've been doing this sort of stretch here, which is sort of pushing out your chest and then rotating your arms back. And I found that to be really good for my shoulder workouts, which is great overall. So anyway, so as we get into the workout here, I start off with single arm shoulder press. Again, great movement for incorporating the right muscles when you're working out. And I find that most people have an imbalance on either side of their shoulders. So it's good to, I guess, find out which shoulder is weaker so you're aware of it, because if you're using a barbell, you don't always know which side's weaker because one's trying to compensate for the other, and then that can cause injury. But here I'm just focusing on keeping the weight controlled and not locking out completely at the top and not at the bottom either. If you're going to increase weight on this exercise, I wouldn't recommend the weight hitting your shoulder, like getting that much mobility, because it probably will cause injury. But again, just keeping the tension there is the main goal. So moving along to lateral raise with the machine. I like this because there's a lot of involvement of just keeping the shoulder muscle engaged the whole time, because the cable is basically pulling at the bottom of the motion and the top. And with this, I like to sort of rotate my elbows upwards when you get to the top of the movement, and I find that that's really incorporated the right sort of shoulder muscles that I want to be incorporated, and I can really feel a pump, especially at a lower weight over time. So don't be too much on the heavy weight side of things, because you get a lot out of that exercise. So here again, moving on to some single front raises with the cable. You're going to have that engagement at the bottom and the top here. Again, why I like cables for shoulders, because it's really just not allowing that muscle to rest, and it has no choice but to work. So it's a great sort of exercise. I never really go up in weight a lot for this exercise. So again, it's just worrying about incorporating the muscles that you need to incorporate. You don't need to sort of heave this movement. I think if you're doing dumbbells, it's a little bit different. I think if you're doing a dumbbell front raise, you can sort of increase the weight a little bit more. But when you're doing cables, you'll know it just doesn't feel good. You don't feel like you're incorporating the right muscle if you're doing too heavy. So start light, build up from there, and sort of move forward. But yeah, cables are great for shoulders overall, and I at least have one or two movements involved in each session. So speaking of front raises, I didn't use dumbbells on this day. Instead, I used the kettlebells, and I almost got a contraction like on the cables, because just the positioning of where it was held, the top of my sort of, I guess my front part of the shoulder there is just engaged the whole time. At the bottom, at the top, just not locking out at the bottom. So again, it's not allowing the muscle to rest. Controlled, trying to make sure that both arms are raising at the same sort of height. One's not going above the other. Just slow and controlled here. So not much really to note here. You can't stuff this exercise up, but it's a great exercise to incorporate into your workouts. And actually just looking at this now, I don't think I've done it in the past sort of week and a bit, because this footage is from about 4 weeks ago. So I might actually incorporate it back in, because it looks like I'm getting a fantastic pump out of the exercise when I was filming this at the time. So yeah, there's not much really to note on that one. So I then moved along to a front raise, but with single arm. So again, I guess almost all my training is isolation these days. So I found that every time I sort of do a compound lift, so a barbell or something where it's like you're using almost like a full body scenario to make the movement, I guess I found that it doesn't engage or isolate the muscle enough. It's probably something I need to improve on, which is having compound movements, to be fair. But if you do single arm anything, you can just keep it all controlled, engage the right muscles, and really see if there's a weak part within the movement. So you'll see that as a common trend throughout my shoulder workout as we go along. So moving again to a cable type machine where it's going to keep your muscles engaged here. So I'm working my rear delts. So at the last part of the movement, I'm really trying to squeeze my arms back to get that full contraction, and then I'm not really trying to let the weight go when I'm going forward. This exercise especially, like don't go up too heavy too quick, because you just won't get the same contraction that you get from keeping controlled and then building up over time. Yeah, you got to kind of let the ego lifting go a little bit with this exercise. All right, so now shoulder press. So again, dumbbells, not using barbells here. Just feels great overall, getting, I guess, the feeling at the bottom and at the top, making sure both sides are working and it's not one side pulling the other. And as you can see here from the back, again, I'm not completely locking out at the top. I'm just coming down far enough that it's not overdoing it on the sort of on the way down. And you know, it's only 17.5 here, which I could technically lift a lot more here, but again, it's just focusing on keeping controlled and then building up over time. I believe it's my right shoulder had some issues over time. So this was about 4 weeks ago, I believe, that I took this clip, and I was more focusing on keeping everything controlled. And now I'm sort of at the stage where I'm trying to build that back up again. So just looking for those sort of things in the movement. Now, ab exercises I basically put with almost all of my workouts now. So at least one exercise per workout I'll have of abs, because who wants to do abs just like, I don't think anyone wants to go to the gym just to do abs on one particular day. And maybe if you do, then, you know, props to you. But for most people, I think they just kind of don't know where to fit in abs. So if you put it in every day, it's not an issue. So I was supersetting that with some trap exercises here. So 10 to 12 reps, really focusing on pulling the weight back and then sort of really contracting at the top there. So I know people like to rotate sometimes their shoulders in this movement, but from what I saw in studies, just pulling it towards the back at the top of the movement gets the most amount of involvement from the muscle. So heading towards the end of my workout here, again, doing a isolated exercise. So doing another side lateral raise here. So with this exercise, I'm rotating my, I guess, pinky towards the ceiling a little bit and kind of like keeping it locked there to engage the muscle. Not much weight here, controlled. Try not to let the weight go all the way down so it's engaged the whole time. It's not as intense as the cables, but that's one way of keeping the muscle engaged, is just not allowing it to let up. And then I supersetted that with some shoulder shrugs here. And again, like I did on the cables, focusing on when I'm pulling up, pulling towards the back at the top of the movement to make sure it's fully engaged. So anyway, guys, this is a quick sort of overview. I didn't want to keep it too long in case it didn't keep you guys engaged, but just adding a little bit more commentary to what I'm doing. If you guys want me to do something more in depth, then let me know. I'm going to do a leg day and sort of incorporate the other muscle groups. So let me know what you guys want to see. Enjoy.